So what is this anyway?
Well, it's bush lawyer.
What the hell is a bush lawyer?
Well, it's Marbo. It's the vibe. Yeah.
It's the vibe.
Yeah, it's the vibe. G'day, it's Strati from Gypsy. Today we have our first ever episode of The Bush Lawyer. You may recall from previous video that I used to be in the industry, a trained lawyer, and worked a short time in it. So as part of what we're doing at Gypsy, I'm also going to do a series called Bush Lawyer, which will talk about different laws. And so today what we're going to be talking about is the legalities of camping in rest areas. Probably one of the biggest bugbears around the place is whether or not people are allowed to do it, and the fact that they're not allowed to do what they like in terms of rest areas. So there's plenty of people upset about that. So we're going to talk about that. Just some quick ground rules when it comes to the law, just more general, just in case we have a few people that are interested in looking at things for themselves. So first of all, the law's massive. You're not an expert, even the experts aren't experts. Nobody ever says they know the law. People say they have an idea of what the law would say, because ultimately the judges have the final say. So it's one of those areas that's never completely comfortable with the outcome, because you just don't know what the other side is going to say, what the police are going to say, or what the local laws office is going to say, what they're going to throw at you. So it's very important that you understand that as people try to learn more about the law. The second thing is the way the law works in Australia is the Constitution sets up the governments, and the governments tell us what we're not allowed to do. They don't tell us what we're allowed to do, they tell us what we're not allowed to do. What this means is if there's particular behaviour you're doing and there's no law against it, well, that's fine, do it all you like, 100%. Even if it's morally wrong, it's not legally wrong unless it's written down. That's rule of law, it's got to be written down. And the third thing, the biggest thing, honestly, the biggest thing, as you learn more about the law, you get a tendency to sort of get a bit lippy with authority, and I'm all for getting lippy with authority, believe me. But just know what you're doing with it. Don't take it too far. Have respect. Have respect for people who are doing their job, and understand that by being nice to them and respectful, even if you've got a different opinion, they're fine with that. Have a different opinion. Deliver it respectfully. If you deliver it respectfully, then you have a better chance of actually going through that situation towards a positive outcome for you. If you act a smart ass, believe it, you'll get it. You'll get it every time. So be very careful with that. So without any further ado, let's move on to what the law says. So we go state by state with this, and I'll put a link in each description. All right. Okay, so first state's Queensland. I'll have a link in the description, and there should be some title screen telling us the name that I'm going to say. So it's called the Transport Infrastructure in brackets State Controlled Roads Regulation 2017 Regulation 10. So it's all about Regulation 10 of this regulation in Queensland, and that's the one that governs things in Queensland. Now what it basically says is if a conspicuous sign is on the side of the road in a rest area or near a state controlled road, so there it applies to any state controlled road. If they have a sign saying no camping, you're not allowed to do it. If you do it, 20 penalty units, that's more than $2 grand. Simple. Part 2 of that same law says that if there's a sign limiting the amount you can park, so if it says you can camp for 48 hours and you contravene it, again, more than $2 grand fine. More than $2 grand fine. Alright, that's any road around the state. In working out whether a person has camped on or near a state controlled road for longer than the stated period, the periods for which the person has camped on the road or area over a continuous 4-week period must be added together. Now, this is important. Number 3 says that when working out if you've exceeded the limit, 4 weeks, and how much you've stayed that spot for 4 weeks. So this thing that people do where they go and they come back, they go and they come back, they go and they come back, doesn't help you. You know what it's helping you? I'll tell you what's helping you. The local laws officer doesn't want to mess with you, doesn't want to try and wreck you. They just let me go about your business. So that is Queensland. Now, subsection 4, the chief executive may require a person to leave a state controlled road or an area near the road with the person's property if 1 or 2 is contravened or you're creating a nuisance on or near the road. That's the last part of the law there. So let me explain that last bit. What it means is the chief executive or any person has authority of the chief executive, local laws officers. So when you see the chief executive, it doesn't mean the dude comes down in a suit and tells you off. No, we're talking about the agents, the officers. Okay? If you're creating a nuisance for yourself, making a lot of noise, for example, being an idiot, fighting, arguing, they can throw you out. And if you don't leave, $2,000 fine. Also, if you're contravening the other two, they can ask you to leave. And if you don't leave, it's another $2,000. So in other words, you can camp in the wrong spot, get a $2,000 fine, the dude tells you to leave, and you argue, another $2,000 fine. That law is available there for Queensland. Okay, so that's Queensland's laws. Very, very strict. It applies to the road, it applies to rest areas, anywhere near the road really. So there's no designated rest area and non-designated rest area. Anywhere along a highway, it applies. They can move you along. Okay? Now, the next one we'll have a look at is New South Wales. New South Wales is my favourite. There's really not much against it. It's a policy. There's no law. I rang them, I tried to find out some information when I prepared this video, and New South Wales have a very different attitude towards this sort of thing. They basically say roadside rest areas, camping may be permitted unless a no camping sign is up. So that's a policy on the main roads website, so it's not really a law. I'd imagine they would fine you with whatever they felt like. There could be a parking fine, it could be anything. The point is, they have got the opinion in New South Wales that unless we tell you can't camp, you can't anywhere. So that's not probably how I would go about it, but that's effectively how I understood the law. So effectively in New South Wales, it's very relaxed. Just go by the signage, they'll tell you no camping, but they don't have rules that extend it out to other parts of the thing like Queensland do, of the road network. Alright, so my native Victoria, let's see, I've got some information here. Let me just Victorian Consolidated Regulation. So, okay, so effectively it's talking about roads and freeways. You're not allowed to camp unless it's told you're allowed to camp. So it's different than New South Wales, okay? It's a big difference, okay? On the one hand, New South Wales say, if we tell you can't camp, don't camp. In Victoria, they're saying, you can't camp unless we tell you you can camp. Okay, that's how Victoria works. So let's go down and look at these grow eaters. So that's South Australia. South Australia is really different, okay? They leave it up to the councils. So I'm not going to go through every single South Australian council. If you want to muck around in South Australia, then you can do your own work to find out all that information. Effectively in South Australia, it gives the bylaws of the council the authority to make whatever they want. So rule of thumb, whenever you see that, is you've got to be smart about what each locality wants, okay? What each locality wants is what they get. So you go to one council, they might have all grass signs up saying, you know, sign camping's fine here, blah, blah. Another one, you go camp anywhere, you're going to get fined $500. So you just have to take it case by case. The next one is caravan parks, is Western Australia. So we've gone from South Australia, we'll look at Western Australia. Now there is a specific rule here for these people, and interestingly, it's called the Caravan Parks and Camping Grounds Regulations 1997. I say interestingly because it's the only state that has the caravan parks in the title. Okay, now that might tell someone perhaps the caravan parks have had a lot to do with what is said there. So now we're really talking about three sections, which is 8A from Regulation 8A, Regulation 10, and Regulation 11. 8A is term used camp. Look, you can look through your definitions all you like. It's going to always apply. Put it that way. Believe me, it'll always apply. If you're staying more than 24 hours, that's going to apply. Okay. Where person may camp. So let's look at this one. This one's going to be very important. A person may camp only at a site in a caravan park or camping ground as appropriate licensed under the Act. Penalty fine $1,000. Now, I've not been to WA. We are going to WA in a couple of months. We're planning to do a whole trip around WA. by the looks of this law, you can't camp anywhere, mate. Nowhere. You're not allowed to camp there. However, we'll talk about at the end of the video what we do and don't do. What we say we can't do and what we do is always going to be a little bit different with anything legal. But letter of the law, you ain't got any ability to camp anywhere that isn't a designated campground or a caravan park. So that takes out a whole lot of things. So in other words, what that means is if you're not in a campground, it might be a free one, it might not be. But if you're not what's called a campground, and I'd assume that'd be a broad sort of encompassing thing, if you're not in a campground or a caravan park, they can get you. So the next place I want to discuss is Tasmania. Love to get there. Don't know when we will, but can't wait actually. It's spoken of very highly by everybody I've talked to. So we're just looking at the trusty iPhone has the notes. Don't expect me to memorize every little thing. It's not going to happen. So what we have is Crown Lands Regulations 2011, Division 3, Recreational Activities of Camping. It basically says that they'll put up a sign, person camping or propose to camp using a caravan in a public reserve must comply with any prohibition or restriction contained in a sign or notice displayed. Fine not exceeding 5 penalty units. It's a bit of a difference, isn't it? We've got 20 penalty units in Queensland for contravention and 5 in Tasmania. Might say something about Queensland's propensity towards police statism, but hey, let's not go there. So effectively, Tasmania says you've got move on orders, and that's in that regulation, as well as that, but it basically says you've got to comply with the signs and they've got to put up signs. So that's how that works. It's a lot different than the rest. Now the final one is Northern Territory, which is a strange one. So effectively I looked at some Darwin City Council bylaws, and effectively it says that you can be moved along, and if you don't listen, it's an offence. That's bylaw rule 103, that's the Darwin City Council bylaws. Now, Northern Territory is a big place, there's a lot of different authorities there. You can never get across every little authority, but it's probably very telling that the main city in Northern Territory is Darwin, and that's the way they go about it, which is if we ask you to move on, you move on. If you don't, then we'll fine you. It's very different than some of the other states we've discussed. Okay, so we've discussed all of the states. We've got New South Wales, which is largely a loose policy. We've got Queensland, which is a really harsh policy, applies to all the roads, all the areas around the roads, and has a $2,000 fine attached to it, as well as a $2,000 fine on top if they tell you to leave and you don't. And then you've got Victoria, which is prohibits it unless you've got a sign up around the freeways, but it distinctly says roads in a camping section, so you can move on and camp outside of places. Indeed, Victoria's great for that. If you go off designated campgrounds and go off into the bush, you're fine. Now South Australia does the bylaws thing, so it doesn't quite bylaws. It means that each council's got to be different. Tasmania talks about putting up signs and then you following the signs. Pretty common sense approach actually. WA, quite harsh. No camping allowed unless it's on a campground. So that's the ultimate police state if you ask me, but it's going to be a tough one to argue because it's pretty black and white. And then you've got Northern Territory there, of course, where in Darwin at least, you're allowed to camp, but if they ask you to move on, you've got to move on. Okay, so let me wrap up this video by saying it's one thing to have a law that says you're not allowed to do it. It's another thing to get in trouble for it. In order for you to get in trouble, they have to enforce it. In order for them to enforce it, they can prove it, but they have to be bothered. Okay, it's as simple as that. So the main rule out here is don't ever do anything where they will be bothered messing with you. Now, if you do get somebody in authority coming up to you and saying, "What's what?" Be nice. Tell them why you're there. Embellish a little bit if you have to, but tell them why you're there. Maybe you need a rest. Maybe your partner's not feeling well. Maybe you're a bit lost. Maybe you just need a rest from driving. Have I gone too long? Yes, you've gone too long. Okay. Is it okay if I start till tomorrow morning? Yeah, that'll be fine. That'll be your answer 99 out of 100 times. The other 1 out of 100 will be when you get cheeky with the authority and they're having a bad day and they want to be idiots about it and they're going to throw the book at you. So remember, be nice. Don't claim you've got a right to things because you just don't. And be smart, be nice, and be cool, and you'll get by. Okay, this is Strati from Gypsy for Bush Lawyer signing off.